Bye. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Leilani of Barbados. Okay, let's go. Please do not ever do this to me again, you guys. I got this comment on my last video. He has lost his second court case today, phone hacking, 3 more cases to go. And I was like, look, let me put on my wig. Hold on. Let me put on my wig here and see what's going on, because we're in court, are we? Are we in court? Only to find out that no, this is not what happened. He has not lost anything yet with the phone hacking against the Mirror. In fact, it's that his witness statements were refused because they were too late. And those witness statements, by the way, those witness statements were going to be from inside the Mirror, I think. I'm just going to read you what happened. Prince Harry loses application in Mirror phone hacking trial. The Duke of Sussex's lawyer made a bid to enter 3 new witnesses' statements into evidence on Friday morning. The Duke of Sussex has lost a legal application in his phone hacking trial against Mirror Group newspapers. This is his lawyer up here, and I have here, I'd rather be Donald J. Trump's lawyer. David Sherburn, Prince Harry's lawyer, must be like,
I'm so tired, I'm so done, and I'm through with him.
He's asking to enter statements from witnesses that may or may not have overheard conversations where there was something said about we're hacking his phone. I mean, and at this late stage, like, he did not... Why prepare, though? Why prepare? You're doing $1 million lawsuit. Why prepare? Who cares? It comes just days after a judge denied the Duke's application for a legal challenge in his separate legal case against the Home Office. So we have one case down against the Home Office. The second one is going to be whether the taxpayers pay. David Sherburn, the lawyer representing Prince Harry and several other claimants against MGN, made an application to enter 3 new witnesses' statements into evidence on Friday morning. He argued the evidence is important and that there was good reason why the statements had not been provided sooner. However, Mr. Justice Fancourt, I love his name, Fancourt, rejected the application, saying it comes very late and requires a degree of investigation on the part of the defendant in order to be able to deal with it. The witnesses all came forward since the trial began on May 10th, and Mr. Sherburn argued this was due to the claims put forward on the publisher's behalf they believe are untrue. The witnesses are saying it's untrue that they did not hack. I do not consider it would be in the interest of fairness of the trial as a whole that this new evidence be admitted at such a late stage, Mr. Fancourt said, explaining his judgment. The civil trial has just finished its 3rd week and will return in June so that taxpayers can pay more money when Prince Harry is expected to give evidence in the High Court. Now, that is quite important because this is the first time since the year naught that any royal member has had to actually testify in court. And, you know, we can all be excited about it, but I don't think it will be aired live like Amber Heard and Johnny. We can all dream. The application rejections in his Mirror trial comes days after a judge denied the Duke's application for legal challenge in a separate legal case at the Home Office. The Duke was not entitled, blah, blah, blah. Hugh Grant denied as well. Meanwhile, Hugh Grant has been denied the chance to take separate phone hacking claims against the publisher of the Sun newspaper trial. Mr. Grant, 62, Lord, time flies, is bringing legal action alleging he was targeted by journalists and private investigators against news group newspapers NGN in relation to the Sun only having previously settled a claim with the publisher in 2012 relating to the now defunct News of the World. NGN, which denies any unlawful activity took place at the Sun, brought a bid to have both Mr. Grant's claim and a similar claim by the Duke of Sussex thrown out at a hearing in London last month, arguing that both men had left it too late to file their claims. In a ruling on Friday, Mr. Justice Fancourt concluded Mr. Grant's claim could proceed to trial except for any allegations relating to phone hacking. So that's where Hugh Grant starts talking about, well, they also robbed my house to find evidence of me fornicating with transvestites in Miami. I don't know. I don't know what he thinks. Because if you remember at the time when Hugh Grant was exposed for the fornication in Miami with a transvestite, he actually embraced it. He ran with it, and he even showed pictures of her and was like,
Oh, look at her. Wouldn't you be confused?
so I'm wondering how that's going to pan out. Boy, bye. Hugh Grant. I've met him. No, not him. Him. Comment down below if you want to know the conversation we had with Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant, we saw all we need to see, okay? With that transvestite in Miami, you got caught. We saw all the pictures we need to see. Who is burglaring your house to find more information than we already know? No one, though. This court case, by the way, about the mirror hacking and invading his privacy, this is going to go on this week, and we're going to follow it very carefully. But what I really want to talk about is another court case that's going on. The US government against Harry, though, in Washington, D.C. to revoke his visa. I always found it very strange that Harry was able to have this kind of visa, a 01 visa. Most people in their application for a visa would love to be married to somebody. That's the cleanest, easiest way to do it. We know that Harry had a real marriage. It was not arranged. He did not pay Meghan £10,000 to get a passport, only to find out that in fact he has a 01 visa, which, as I have said, carries a lot of responsibility. You have to be a very special person with very special skills. It is not the same as a work visa where you're attached to a company, and if you are fired from that company, you lose your visa. It supersedes that. All right, now this is where it gets very complicated. Harry is different from Meghan. Harry has, for whatever reason, upbringing or whatever it may be, he has more genuine heart. So when he speaks out on things, he speaks out directly. And as you could see with the Gabor Mate interview, he spoke about a lot of things that were outside of his area of expertise. He talked about treatments, psychedelic treatments. He openly talked about use of substances. He also denied the use of medicine in medicine. He made a snarky comment like, well, you know about that whole pharma thing. Medicine for medical issues. Bleh. Which medical school did you graduate from, Harry? But he wants to talk directly about these things. Don't you think that's slander for doctors who are actually working and saving people? Okay, I come from a medical family, so I'm a bit biased. But for him to sit up there and say that medicine is a conspiracy theory, but actually mushrooms and so on is okay. Very irresponsible. So what's going to happen in this court case in DC is that they're probably going to ask him why he didn't answer the questions correctly that he was supposed to answer regarding his substance abuse or use. And how did he circumvent that whole investigation? And they're going to investigate it. Okay. And he's going to fail. He's going to fail that test. And then will he get deported? Because the situation with a marriage, right? Because everyone's saying about they're going to get divorced. I understand why it all tracks. They have just released this footage of them in Santa Barbara, California at a polo match. Harry is out here trying to live his best life. She's there in her Zorro hat, which she always brings out for special occasions. And here, of course, they make sure to overcorrect for the basketball game snub where Meghan avoided Harry's kiss by trotzing out each other, as we say in the Caribbean, but deep, long kisses in front of teenage boys who are watching them. Yeah. And she's gone on the stage with polo players. If you've ever been to a polo match, and this is for my members who are part of the Leilani Polo Club, this is not how polo works. Either you're playing polo with the men or you're just not there. Okay. So here you have this footage of Meghan coming on stage, and it reminds me of saltbae. I don't know if you remember saltbae, the guy that does the steaks or whatever. And he went to the Qatar World Cup and he tried to grab the trophy from saltbae, snatching the World Cup trophy from Angel de Maria. He also snatched it away from Christian Romero's baby. Then kissed it like a champion in an embarrassing spectacle. Lisandro Martinez looks annoyed as the chef pretends to sprinkle salt on the trophy. The disgraceful spectacle reportedly broke FIFA's rules, which say only former winners and heads of state can handle the prize. Here it is. Oh, here's a trophy. Oh, give me that. No, nobody wants to give. Oh, clap, clap, clap. I'll clap instead. Okay, I'll just... She's very handsy, I find, as well. But let's look at that again. She's like... And then her hat's in the way. She's all awkward. She's in the way. She's just in the way. It's really crazy. It speaks a lot to their marriage situation at the moment because there's no connection. Like, they did not talk about this before. They did not say, okay, well, Meghan, what you're going to do is this, and Harry, like, they did not. She just arrived there with this big old stupid hat. It was a cringe thing that happened. Anyway, moving on. I think the wokeness has caught up to them, and these think tanks, these government officials are like, what really happened with his visa? He's out here spewing a lot of wokeness that is not acceptable anymore. We went through that and we're done with that. And also there's elections coming up in the United States, and he cannot just be out here just doing him. I want to say in closing that I do think the divorce is later rather than sooner, because how will he stay in the United States if he's not married? I think unlike Meghan, Harry is in an escape room where he just is trying to like do his thing, do his drogas, and just live his life. Can you imagine though? Sorry. Can you imagine what that writing room looked like with him off his face, just coming in there talking about, and generational trauma and, unconditional bias. And I also want to talk about Todgers. And there was something I was going to say about, boldness. It's crazy. Like, you have to put that in the book. And he's just off his face, and these writers are sitting there like, how are we going to make this into a book? No, the whole thing is quite tragic, and I hope that he gets out of it with the same gusto that he's been in it, the same bravado. Well, breaking news, day 1 of testimony. This is my personal interpretation of the transcript from the trial of Harry v. NGM. Prince Harry did come into court with the same bravado, but ultimately folded under the pressure of Andrew Green, KC's cross-exam. Prince Harry, although seemingly happy to have his day in court, one his uncle, Andrew, also declared he wanted, but was not as lucky to escape it. Instead, Harry's misguided attorneys seemed to allow this catastrophe to play out in court. The counsel for NGM grilled Prince Harry for about 5 hours. As you see here, Mr. Green took off his glasses, which everyone knows when a lawyer does this, it's on like Donkey Kong. Prince Harry was thoroughly unprepared to answer questions about the articles he was referring to, which ruined his whole life. Exactly, according to him, from the day he was born. But why prepare? It's not like you've spent millions of dollars to come to court in 6 different cases. Why know anything about them? He didn't even recall why he thought information about his hunting trip to Africa with then-girlfriend Chelsea Davy was procured by illegal methods. He barely remembered the trip. But why would you remember a trip to a girlfriend's home country where he was wined and dined by her family alongside lions and tigers and bears? One remembers nothing when Meghan Markle has performed a frontal lobotomy on your brain, so that was totally understandable. Going forward, as the time ticked away and the taxpayers' money dwindled, Prince Harry became more and more petulant. When asked specific questions like to prove the info had been hacked, he asked the court to ask the journalists themselves, or indeed direct the questions to his own legal team. After all, he said he could not recall what his lawyers had shown him and could only guesstimate the millions of articles written on him. Okay, but even if that is the case, why would you throw your team under the bus like that? Bruh. He would turn to the judge and say things like, what I know in my experience. Yes, he still got it. He's still talking his truth. I knew he still had that mambo jumbo in him. I should note that I've been told that this is a good tactic to speak directly to the judge when feeling under pressure. It serves to do 2 things. 1, feign confidence as you are showing you are bold enough to speak to the big man himself. And 2, it breaks the eye contact with the opposing counsel. Good tactic all around. Prince Harry kept saying he doesn't recall, which reminded me of the O.J. Simpson trial, not to date myself, but when O.J.'s housekeeper Rosa Lopez took to the stand, it was blatantly obvious that she had been coached to answer every question about the night of the 2 murders with 2 simple phrases. I do not recall and not to my recollection, she said. Harry boldly proclaims ignorance of the way papers work despite saying that he is well experienced with them in his experience. He says, and I quote, I've never heard of anyone writing a story that has been printed before and then sending or selling it on. Isn't that why it's called a scoop? Like you scoop from one bucket and put it into another. It's dissemination. It is media. Harry is having a laugh, shorty. Because Harry's memory had failed him, he was directed to look at his witness statement, which was located in bundles and boxes throughout the courtroom. While he was doing that, he managed to grunt, "It's like doing a workout." So clearly, his spoiled brat life in California was telling on him. But it was not just the physical activity that was difficult. He also couldn't follow the electronic records in front of him on a monitor. At one point, Mr. Green KC told Harry to look on the screen in front of him as the evidence was there. Prince Harry said, "It is not," to which the lawyer said, "I think it is." And 38-year-old Harry then said, "If you say so." Because when it gets this late in the day and you haven't been able to do the things you would rather do, teenage angst should be totally acceptable. At 38. Did I mention Harry is 38? Finally, there was some exchange about his 16th birthday party in a gastropub, where Harry insists that info about the party was ill-gotten. This is important, as Harry would have been underage, so he has every intention of hanging on to this story, and he's sticking to it, in spite of lack of evidence. But when Mr. Green suggests that the chef of the birthday party might have been the one to leak the story to the papers, Harry insists that the chef is far too busy and important to do that. I don't know why this had smacks of Meghan written all over it for me, because, everyone in Meghan's life is too busy and too important, don't you know? Anyway, Mr. Green does this thing that lawyers do, and it can be quite annoying. He comes with a different angle each time. Less high. He purports that the chef had chefs working for him, and perhaps they were not as busy as the big chef's self. To which Harry responds, "I have no idea. I've never worked in a kitchen." To which I respond, When Harry gets tired, he apparently gets insufferable. For real, for real. In summary, it's giving lacking. Harry was lacking in every way, shape, and form. But I want you all to tell me. Please put a W in the comments if you think Prince Harry will win this case, and an L if you think he's on his way to losing his second case. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching me. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notifications. I just want you to stay in touch with me and stay close to me, okay? Thank you so much. I love you. Bye. Love you.